I just got to give Ethan Strauss credit. Ethan Strauss, as I said at the top of the show, you know, I'm not going to put him on my level, but he's damn close. This guy writes and talks about the things that other journalists in the sports world just refuse to address and talk about. The guy's amazing. I subscribe to the House of Strauss. I suggest the rest of any of you interested in the culture around sports and the issues around sports that mainstream corporate media shy away from. Ethan used to work at ESPN. He built a brand, I think, initially covering the Golden State Warriors. He's gone independent. He's one of the great voices out there. He's written a piece about Caitlin Clark, and I think it just came out this morning. We saw it just before the show, and thank God we did, because it gets to everything that we've been talking about, like what's wrong with the WNBA, what's wrong with diversity, equity, and inclusion, what's wrong with this race agenda, what's wrong with this Black Queens agenda. And so he's written a story about Nike and why Nike has been reluctant to take advantage of Caitlin Clark, because they have. And what I've always thought was like, man, that contract she signed seemed pretty reasonable. It's like, wow, Caitlin Clark comes out of Iowa, and I started saying after her junior year in college, like, hey, man, she's the biggest star in college sports. And then after what she did at Iowa her senior year, I started saying, hey, I think she's going to be the biggest star in sports. And we've never seen this. This is a woman in America that is going to dwarf the men in terms of popularity and influence, driving. We haven't seen this since Tiger Woods, was my argument, that Tiger Woods lifted up the PGA Tour and made it very, very relevant. But this is even more impressive because the PGA Tour had relevance. They had Jack Nicklaus, who's a legitimate star of stars. The WNBA's never had anything. Nothing. Cheryl Miller couldn't really move the needle. Candace Parker couldn't really move the needle. Now they have this woman, and she's made the WNBA relevant. And I'm like, why isn't she being promoted? And how did Nike get her at such a reasonable, wasn't it a 22 or 32?
$28 million over 8 years.
Over 8 years. I'm like, that doesn't add up to me.
I think some of this might be a little bit of revisionist history. Going into we all sat here and argued that she should go back to Iowa.
Yeah.
Because she would die and get swallowed up in the WNBA and everybody would stop watching her. That's when Nike struck. I think they got this well before she was showing triple, quadruple the ratings of other WNBA games.
See, we could sit here and speculate, and we did on this show, and for about, I think it was maybe 72 hours, I thought like, hey, this will be over with after college, and said so on this show. And my memory, and it could be wrong, but within 72 to what's 72 times 86, 96 hours? Is it 24 times 7 plus 20, 96? Within 4 days, I'm telling you, I think I had pivoted to, I think I
definitely pivoted after the WNBA draft. For sure you were pivoted by then, so it was before there was a game.
Okay, Hadley, somebody help me out. When was the WNBA draft? Because the NCAA tournament wraps up in early April, and wasn't the WNBA draft maybe just a week after that? And so
April 15th.
Yeah, April 15th. NCAA tournament probably wraps up April 8th, maybe, something like that. And so it wasn't a long process of me going, hey, I think this will be over, to, holy cow, this woman's going to be the biggest star in sports. And I'm not Nike. They're experts at this. They were able to see, and again, you weren't around at this time, but it's like when Michael Jordan left North Carolina, it's not just his size that two centers went ahead of him. No one fully understood what he was going to be in the NBA. And there's a guy at Nike that they made the movie about, that Matt Damon played or whatever.
Sonny Vaccaro.
But yeah, Sonny Vaccaro, thank you. Sonny Vaccaro saw it. And again, Nike's supposed to be able to see these things and know, But anyway, Ethan Strauss argues in the piece. Let me read some of the piece and then bring you guys into this. I'm going to read a significant chunk of this just so, and I'm sorry, Ethan, make people get subscriptions instead of me just reading your stuff out loud. But back when Nike stock was around its all-time high, I wrote a 5,000-word essay on the corporation's awkwardly angry play for female customers. At the time I wrote it back in 2021, I couldn't foresee that the mega corp would sign history's biggest women's college basketball phenom in 2022. How fortuitous. I also couldn't foresee that this player would maintain the fame momentum through her interest into the WNBA, where she'd finish all first team as a rookie, and who could have predicted her games would average more than 1 million viewers, contrasted against the games of other players that would register 300K. Road arenas packed where she goes, crowds of girls wearing her jerseys. Nike signed her through 8 years at a cheap rate. You tell me that, and I assume Nike's doing fantastic in 2024 because it sounds like you're describing a billion-dollar athlete who suddenly appeals to previously unreached demos. The apparel behemoth has majority male customers and has long craved similar success with women. Fortunately, they signed the woman to build a brand around. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Caitlin Clark. Instead, in the early Clark era, Nike stock has tanked over this span, and the CEO just got ousted. By the way, though Clark got famous around 22, if you want to buy her shoe, you could be waiting until 2026 or 2027. He goes on to point out, like, Caitlin Clark's in her first NBA playoffs, first NBA season, and she's wearing Kobe Bryant shoes. They don't even have a shoe for her. And it may not be till 2026, 2027. LeBron James had his own signature shoe his rookie year. So 20 years ago, Nike was nimble enough and had enough vision to see that, hey, let's get LeBron's shoe out here. This guy's going to be a big deal. They can't do this for Caitlin Clark for some reason. And lo and behold, let me get to the money shot where is the money paragraph where they mention Asia? Oh, here it is. So he walks through, like, there was a Nike ad for Iowa Caitlin, though it wasn't exactly pushed on the public. There has been no Nike commercial for Clark as a pro. Let that sink in. No Caitlin Clark commercial. She's had 4 years of being the biggest star in all of sports, driving all these television ratings. No Nike commercial. That was me. Now back to Ethan Strauss. Now Clark's Fever are in the WNBA playoffs, and she's wearing Kobe's sneakers instead of her own signature brand. In summary, Nike lucked into the marketing chance of a generation, and they're using that to advertise old product. Why is it happening this way? Now here's the money. Based on conversations with people in the know, it indeed has something to do with the WNBA MVP and Nike athlete Asia Wilson. But beyond Wilson, it's about the culture of the company that's more concerned with quelling noise rather than making it as Nike once used to. This is DEI. This is, hey, Asia will be offended. This is Don Staley and the rest of the angry Yas Queen feminists saying, don't do that for that white girl until you make this 6'5" black woman more popular than the white girl. That when you look around and ask yourself, why is the WNBA marketing the playoffs leading with Asia Wilson and not Kelsey Mitchell, not Caitlin Clark? Why? Why are they? No, you're white. You have to stand in line. We're committed to Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson's not going to sell a shoe. Period. End of story. With Caitlin Clark, and I'm just going to keep it real, and I know this is embarrassing, what I'm about to say. I know it's embarrassing, but I'm going to say it. If Caitlin Clark had a signature shoe, I would wear them. I would.
Just at home, private.
I would wear them out publicly. Butter, you look like you agree with me. Would you wear a Caitlin Clark shoe?
Hey, you know what they say? Democrats buy sneakers too. I would do it.
And I'm just telling. That's how. And again, I get that she allegedly, likes Kamala Harris, but I like Caitlin Clark more than I dislike her liking. She's 22, a woman. Of course, she's a liberal. She'll grow out of it. Common sense will visit upon her the truth. She'll figure out why she's not getting the same treatment as Tiger Woods and LeBron James. These leftists are idiots. Idiots. They're not about business. They're not about growing the WNBA. They're about diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is insanity, what they're doing to Caitlin Clark. It's bad business. It's short-sighted. When this woman exits the playoffs, probably tonight, the WNBA playoffs are over. You wonder why they sat and watched her get stabbed in the eye by Dejanay Carrington and did nothing? They want her out of the playoffs. They think they're going to use these playoffs to build up a 6'5" Amazon woman, Asia Wilson, into the biggest star in sports. It ain't happening. They're lying to themselves. They're delusional. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.